In this episode, we're actually on a golf course, and I'm here with Tom Healy, and we're going to talk about how to find and keep top young talent. And just so you know, Tom has done over 1,000 presentations across the entire country on this, and even wrote a great book called Limitless Leadership, and he's going to give us his strategies today.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show.
So how'd you get into this line of work where you're helping people find and keep good talent, and especially young talent too, because you're not really going after the 50, 60-year-old crowd, right? You're really working on the millennials and the...
Yeah, so what happened was I was speaking at colleges and just working with college students, speaking at conferences, doing consulting work with different entities within higher education. And a family friend approached me who runs a huge company. And he's like, hey, we're having some issues with younger employees just in terms of finding the right ones and keeping them, developing them. Can you help me out? Now, for those that are in speaking and consulting, you learn that your answer is always yes. But no, in all seriousness, I said, you know, I'll help you. I'll try to help you. I don't know if I can or not, so I'm not going to charge you anything. But if I do provide you value, then you can compensate me however you see fit. And what I did with them was I basically got to understand their recruitment process, their development process, how they were managing younger employees, compensating them, trying to retain them, the whole spectrum. And try to diagnose some problems. And what I found was, in their case, was they really didn't understand what they were looking for. And so I helped them identify what an A player was, where to find them, how to recruit them, and then, obviously how to retain them in their organization. And throughout the process, I learned a lot, but I also provided them with a lot of value. So I realized that in addition to just going out and working with college students, I could also help companies find, develop, and keep top young talent in their organizations. And I felt like I was uniquely positioned because, it's one thing to say, well, I'm just going to go in and work with companies and be in a corporate setting all day, but I don't really understand the students that well. There's also people that work with students all the time, but they don't understand how the business world works and how, small businesses function and large businesses function. And so I felt like I was uniquely placed to be able to help students, but then also help companies find, develop, and keep the top young talent that's out there. And so it's been great. I like working with the students. I like working with companies around their top young talent, and it works well.
And when you say find A players, because that's something that's a terminology in our company as well.
Sure.
But for, even though it sounds like it should be logical, just so you can define it well enough so that people can look at their current staff, people that are listening in or watching, what is an A player versus a B, C player?
Well, I think ideally in any organization, you have key metrics to which you can evaluate if someone's an A player or not. Sales, for instance, is easy. What are their closing ratios? How many, how much revenue they generate for your organization? But I think regardless of the position, you have to be able to identify key performance metrics. And I always work with companies around, rather than saying, oh, he or she's nice, or, oh, they bring a, positive vibe to the organization. I want every single person to have specific metrics attached to their performance to figure out if they're an A player or not. So I think that, any role, regardless of what it is, we have to be able to objectively evaluate if they're the right fit for your organization and if they're performing well. So I think, first of all, that's how we identify who is and is not an A player.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to hit a ball.
All right, let's
and then we're
going
to come back. So I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'll lead off.
We're going to start most handsome, and then I'll go.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't know if we're going to do younger, most handsome.
Either way.
Okay. Either way
you win.
Okay.
Asshole. Oh, that looked good. Was that too easy? Should we do like in the NBA where I distract you during a free throw? No?
No.
All right. Look at that.
Not bad.
I think I was just a few feet farther than you, closer to the hole.
Yeah. You were further and straighter than I was. That's right.
That was lucky.
It's your show, so I'll tell you that, okay?
All right, let's go.
Actually, I actually have bad shots. We're near each other.
Louis, I hope you saw that I hit that ball. How many yards? 200? Couple hundred?
357 yards.
I connected.
It was dead straight.
I connected. He says Mike has excuses for the Charles Barkley swing. That's what he says. You don't know what I just did. I'll play you, Louis. Any day.
That's very offensive to Mr. Barkley.
Is it a par 3, a par 4?
It's a par 4.
Par 4? You think
380 yards.
You think
dog leg right?
Dog leg right.
Some bunkers in our way.
You think, what are the chances one of us can get it in 3?
That's a birdie.
Yeah.
I think the chances are not good. I think they're not good for me, and I think they're virtually impossible for you. You know, look, and this is true in life and in the professional work I do too. I try to be a straight shooter.
You can't be great at everything.
I'm not gonna, yeah, you know, my bedside manner is not great.
Yeah, I will not lie and say I practice my golfing.
I wouldn't believe you if you said it.
Yeah, and I don't want you to call me out and call me a liar. Do we? I don't even know where mine went. I lost it in the white.
Yours right around here.
All right, let me know if you guys see my my ball.
I think you were kind of over here a little bit. I think this is mine.
They should really put. Oh, I think it's over here. They should put like GPS on these things now. We're 2016.
See the hole? It's up here.
I feel the hole, Tom. I can do this with my eyes closed. There it is. I'll let you go first again, or do I go first?
You're away. You
I'm
go
farther?
first.
Okay. I'm gonna make that, Tom.
It's not bad.
Oh, a little more, a little more. Looking good.
Not bad. Not bad.
So, what do you think is the biggest mistake that organizations are typically making, companies are typically making when they're recruiting for top young talent?
So I really think that two things happen. Number one is sometimes companies really don't know what they're looking for. Great example that I always give is a friend of mine, is a chiropractor, goes into his interview, this company, and they bring him in. He sits down. The guy that owns the practice is sitting across the table from him. Without asking a question, getting into small talk, doing all the resume looking, all that stuff, he stands up, goes over to his chiropractic table, gets face down, and goes, "Crack my back." And my buddy goes, "Excuse me, doctor?" And the doctor goes, "Crack my back." And he like kind of looks up and he goes, "If you can't adjust my back at a very high level, then why would I continue this conversation and waste an hour of my time and waste an hour of your time?" And the point there is simple. He was looking for a chiropractor. He was looking for an A player to crack backs and do the work of a chiropractor. So he's evaluating my friend to see if he is great at it or okay at it or lousy at it. So you can sit there and make small talk all you want and say, "Oh, where'd you go to school? And, you know, tell me about your past experiences and, you know, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses," and do all these things.
The main job he's going to be measured at, then there's no point in getting into all that.
Exactly. So if I own a fitness facility, I'm going to put them on the floor. I'm going to say, "Do the work and let me see if you're a great fit at it or not." You know, because they could say, "Oh, well, I have all this experience." Well, as you know, there's plenty of people that have experience,
right,
but they aren't good at something. Just because you've been doing it for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years doesn't mean you're good at it. It just means you've done it a bunch of times. So I want to find out, not, you know, through conversation or small talk or what's on your resume, but actually doing it. Let me see if you're good at it or not. And so I've always said that, you know, find out exactly what you're looking for, what do you need them to do in that specific role, and then measure if they can do it. Plain and simple.
It's the same thing actually for the person watching this video. They may have had their company for 10, 15 years already, and they've been interviewing people for 10, 15 years already, but if they have high turnover, or they have that feeling, or they feel like they've said it several times where I can't find good people, or I can't keep good people, and it doesn't matter how long you've been interviewing and hiring people for, you still have stuff that you need to learn. You're still not a top interviewer. And, you know, hopefully this episode really kind of brings to light some good ideas, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah, and I guess the biggest thing I can say is, you know, figure out exactly what you're looking for, and then figure out how you're going to measure it. You know, because a lot of times people say, well, I think this is what we're looking for, or, we need someone that's done this before, and it's real vague. Or they say, I know exactly what I'm looking for, but then they don't know how to measure it. Mm-hmm. And as you know, I, utilize assessments and some, psychological evaluation of people to figure out, how they're uniquely hardwired and to figure out if they're the right fit for the organization or not. But I'd much rather that than, hey, Jimmy, tell me your 3 biggest strengths, or, the other thing that I see companies do a lot too is that in their interview process, what they'll do a lot of times is they'll sit there and they'll ask a question, right? Like, well, we're looking for hard workers. Okay, we're looking for people that are, really hard workers and roll up their sleeves and great, okay? So then what do they ask? Are you a hard worker? Yeah. Well, how dumb do you have to be to say, no, I'm not a hard worker. I'm also not a leader. I don't work well with others. I'm not good at sales. I'm not a people person. I mean, right? Like,
my greatest strengths, I work too hard sometimes.
Yeah, I care too much. I do so much volunteer work that sometimes, I'm running a few minutes late. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? But this is what companies do. I mean, I've worked with Fortune 500 companies that literally are like, are you a hard worker? Name your 3 biggest strengths. The other thing too is a lot of people, whether it's a high school program or a college program, they're coached on how to interview. So they're saying the right things. I don't care what they're saying. I want to see what they've done. And I've always said that past performance is a lot of times indicative of future success. So rather than me saying, are you a hard worker? I'd rather say, explain to me a time where you worked really hard and how you added value to an organization or a cause or whatever you were involved with and what you learned from that and how it shaped you. So I want to know what you've done to work hard in your past.
Because if they can't bring up a story.
Exactly. Yeah. And frankly, you can't BS it either. It's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm a hard worker. Yes, I am. I can answer yes or no questions. But when you start asking for past stories, past experiences, you can really figure out if someone, has those experiences that you're looking for. Right. And I think it's so important to do that. And so you want to build into your interview process, right? Tell me a time when you did this, or explain to me this, versus just saying, we value this, are you this? Right, and it's subtle, but it actually makes a tremendous in the interview process, a tremendous difference.
It does. Cool, well, am I in your way?
You are.
Should I move my ball?
I'll let you finish.
Or do you skip over like in pool?
No. I'm gonna let you finish.
You let me finish?
Okay. It's pretty much a gimme putt, so it should definitely go in. There's no question. But
I've heard on this particular hole, things are deceiving. I beat the odds anyway.
There you go.
Regardless, right? But
nice putt. All right, pressure's on me.
So was that 3 for me? 4?
Sure.
Not counting the throw? Nice.
Back of the cup, dead center.
Is that what you're supposed to do?
That is. Right, doesn't always happen that way.
I'm gonna, are we in trouble? Oh no, that's the lunch lady, right?
You say the lunch lady? Did you get that on film? Did you get him calling the cart girl the lunch lady on film? Okay.
Is it the cart girl?
So far he said he's gonna, what did you say? What did you call teeing off?
Kicking off.
Kicking off?
Yes. Shooting.
He called the cart girl the lunch lady.
I said shooting.
Instead of making a shot, he said shooting. Okay.
Making a shot is the same as shooting, isn't it?
Sure.
I mean,
close enough.
My content writer would say yes. So one of the things I've noticed is a lot of companies aren't 100% comfortable hiring millennials, interviewing millennials. They feel like they're kind of entitled, or all the different stereotypes that come along with it. I personally have about half my staff's millennials. I haven't found that issue. Yeah. But do you think there's any validity to it?
Well, there's a couple things that you bring up that I think are important. It's funny. So I work with CEO groups, where they bring me in. There's 20 of them in the room, and we do a 3-hour workshop. Okay, and so it's funny. So I'll mention some of that stuff. I'll let them vent, and I'll say, well, what's the biggest challenge with millennials, with young talent, with young hires? And they'll say all that stuff, right? Oh, they're entitled. They don't work hard. They don't show up on time. They expect too much attention. Blah blah blah. All this stuff, right? And I look at them and I said, so why is that the case? Right? Like in your opinion, why is that the case? And of course it's the education system, it's the government, right?
The fourth place trophy.
Yeah, it's technology, it's Facebook, it's okay. So they say all this stuff, and I said, you understand why millennials, Gen Y, whatever you want to call them, you understand why they are the way they are? And they kind of look at me and I go, because of you. It's the way we were raised. Okay, and so the deal is that millennials were raised with a lot of care, with a desire to have a better life than their parents had, okay? What that created in some cases is this sense of ease as to how hard things are to accomplish. And so when you say, well, there's entitlement or there's a lack of work ethic, understand that, millennials may not have faced the same challenges that their parents did and their grandparents did.
And maybe didn't even see their parents facing those challenges.
Correct. And so what I always say, exactly, because they were shielded from it. And so what I always say is, find talent that's going to work hard. Find people, it's the old adage, right, of will over skill. And so I'm always just like, find people that'll work hard, and a lot of the other stuff you'll figure out. But I think what you have to recognize is, you have two options, right? I mean, I guess you could not hire any young talent. Okay, and we're now up to where millennials, young talent, that's half the workforce.
Right.
Okay, so you could when you hire for positions, you could just not hire any young talent. And I find it hard to believe that a fitness studio could just avoid hiring anyone young.
Right.
Okay, so you can't really avoid half the workforce. The other thing too that's interesting is, a lot of cases with, and we understand this, when you have a small business, sometimes you have to hire on the cheap.
Right.
And young people tend to be a little bit cheaper because they're, younger and less experienced, and maybe they're entry-level positions. So, you can't ignore young talent. So you have to figure out, you have to accept the fact you're going to hire them, okay? And then you have to say, okay, well, I have two options. The first thing I could do, well, I guess I could reshape an entire generation, right? I could change an entire generation.
Right.
Okay, and companies try and do that. Mike, I go into companies that are still managing like it's the 1960s.
Right.
And they're treating employees the way that they were treated 30 years ago. Well, you're dealing with a completely different segment of the population with far different life experiences and personalities and relationship to technology. And I mean, it's a radically different generation. Okay, so you have to say, okay, well, I'm not going to reshape a generation. So what you have to do is you have to adapt your organization to your young talent. You have to manage people differently now than you manage people 20, 30 years ago. So as an example, I still work with companies that are big on annual performance reviews, okay? And so for 51 weeks out of the year, we're not gonna acknowledge your performance or, measure your key metrics
Which
relative
is what they're
to
used
your
to
role,
just coming out of school.
because that's correct. Okay, so companies are still doing things that they used to do 20, 30 years ago. Well, guess what? Your young talent has a different relationship to technology, to validation, to being told that they're doing a good job or not doing a good job. They want instant feedback, okay? So I have to explain to companies that instead of annual performance reviews, you need to be on a daily basis talking about this is what you're doing well, this is how you're adding value to the organization, this is what you can do better. Whether it's pats on the back or words of encouragement, you have to be providing daily feedback.
Which sounds exhausting, but it's one of those things I actually had to start implementing because I had a hard time, and everybody on my team will tell you, I had a hard time a few years ago with working with the younger organization or younger people, just because same deal. I was used to, I didn't need to hear I was doing a great job. I knew what I had to do, and if I was either doing it or I wasn't. But as I started learning from guys like David Berg, he's in one of the episodes, guys like David Berg, and reading books like Multipliers, and just really understanding and asking millennials what they need and want, it's at the point now where I do have daily conversations, may not necessarily be about what they're doing, but daily conversations that at least let them know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling right now. And then usually on the week, I'm talking to them about, what I like, what they've done, high-fiving them. But it's true, and even though it sounds exhausting if it's not something you're already implementing, because it does sound exhausting if you haven't, it becomes habitual. And it becomes a party just as much as, getting a drink of water or anything like that. When you pass them, you kind of know what to say as you say it.
And as you know, as a manager, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to do things that maybe aren't convenient or easy for you. Right. And you kind of hit on another thing that I'm assuming that you probably made this mistake. I can admit that I've made it, and I think this is an important thing for the listeners and viewers, is a lot of times as leaders, as managers, as entrepreneurs, we tend to assume, and this isn't just true of our young talent, but really of anyone that we bring on board, sometimes we tend to assume that they are us. Okay, they work as hard as us, they care as much as us, they have the same skills as us, and that's not necessarily the truth. So I think a lot of times what people do is they say, well, so-and-so has a good education and so-and-so's young and sharp, so obviously they're definitely going to be just like me, or they're definitely going to be good at this or that, and we assume too much, and we train and develop too little. So in addition to constant feedback, we also have to have constant training, constant development, constant ways to improve. And you can't just assume that, oh, well, so-and-so has a college education, so of course they can write a professional email. And so-and-so's young, so of course they're really savvy at social media marketing. We assume these things that aren't true. And so that's
and what's unfair too is that you may feel like that because you've been running this business for 10 years or 15 years or whatever it is. I guarantee you, if this is your first business, you go back to the first professional email you sent in your company, it was probably something you would be disappointed in.
You were far less polished than you think you were, right?
Yeah.
You know, and another thing too that kind of ties in with this is I've had the opportunity to work with business owners who are transitioning to a son or daughter. Okay, and one of the biggest mistakes they make is that they just assume that they can groom their son or daughter to do exactly what they are doing. Okay? So just because you as the seasoned business owner understand sales and marketing and operations and finance and management and leadership and all those things, right? And how to negotiate and how to sell, that doesn't mean that your son or daughter is going to have all of those skills.
Or even care about
maybe
it.
ever, or care about them. Yeah, so you can't just assume, and again, this is true whether you're transitioning a business to someone or you're just hiring a younger employee. You can't just assume that those skills are there, which goes back to something we were already talking about, which is having clear understanding of what you're looking for and then seeing if that person meets those. So a lot of times there's assumption with companies I work with, well, they went to Stanford, so they have to be really smart. Well, they went to this business school, so they have to be able to know how to write a professional email, and they have to know how to conduct themselves properly in a business setting. Why do you assume that?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's just not true. So I think, you know, again, going back to your question of what's that big challenge, I think a lot of times it really comes down to the fact that, you know, we're just not paying close enough attention, we're not doing enough management, we're not doing enough evaluation, we're not providing enough feedback, and a lot of times we're just absent of clear metrics. Because then it's, well, I thought I was doing a good job.
Yeah.
And another challenge with younger employees tends to be self-awareness. Well, Mike, I'm working really hard. I'm providing the organization with a lot of value. Well, no, you've been late for 2 weeks straight. I've asked you to do things that you haven't done,
And
but without
staying busy doesn't equal productive.
Yeah, and I'm working really hard, but you're not productive. But if you, as a leader, an entrepreneur, a business owner, a manager, if you don't have key metrics in place, then you're relying on them having self-awareness, them knowing exactly what's expected of them, and it just doesn't work. And then when you have to have that difficult conversation, or you have to provide some context when you're doing some development or management, what are you basing it off of? Well, I feel like you're not working hard enough. Well, Mike, I feel like I'm working hard enough, versus saying, you know, the expectations that you're making X number of calls a day. You're having X number of training clients a day. You're going around and having X number of interactions with our clientele.
Before, after picture.
Yeah, you're making sure that this floor is spotless throughout the day. You're making sure of whatever the case is. And so when you have clear expectations, clear metrics, and you're evaluating based on those, now it's an objective conversation and we can measure performance versus, I don't think you're doing a good job. Well, I think I am. And that can lead to some contention. Absolutely.
Cool. So one of the things that we hear from a lot of fitness studio owners, and I've kind of noticed it too in my experience, is the coaches and the instructors, the trainers, these are the ones that seem to develop the relationship with all the members. They're the ones that are working out with them, that are high-fiving them, doing all that stuff. What we tend to notice is that if you don't have a real solid culture, or if you don't really manage the relationship of the employee well, this person ends up going off to another company or doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And the fear is they take these members with them, which is a valid
Yeah, their revenue.
yeah, it's a valid fear because it happens.
Sure.
It happens regularly. So how do you how do you hire the right person, or how do you develop a person, or even just develop a culture to make sure that you prevent that from happening?
Well, the easy thing to say is, oh gosh, Mike, if you have a great culture at your studio, you'll never lose an employee and you'll never lose a client. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. So the question is, okay, we have an A player. They're generating revenue for us. They're great with the clients. We enjoy having them on our team, but that relationship is so strong that theoretically they could leave. Okay, it's a legitimate fear. So the key is that you have to have an exceptional training, development, management system so that they don't want to leave, so that the value you're providing them is so strong that they either couldn't do it on their own, or if they could, it wouldn't be as lucrative and as smooth as it is with you.
Is money the big factor for that?
Well, a lot of times it's not with, younger talent. It's more of, do they enjoy where they're at? Do they feel validated? Do they have the flexibility and freedom that they want? And so, it's so funny. I'll see organizations, small or large, they stew over, oh, should we pay, $35,000 a year or $37,000 a year? Do you think your younger employees care about that? They want vacation. They want to wear jeans to work. They want a manager who is growing them. And so
can you point to Sam's jeans?
That's
okay,
right.
Go ahead.
Exactly. So really what it comes down to is, do you know what the number one reason why young employees leave the company that they're with?
They don't feel valued?
Pretty much. I mean, basically it's that they don't see enough value in their direct manager, which it might be the owner of the company, it might be the manager, whoever it may be, but whoever they're directly reporting to and they're spending the most time with, they don't think that person is either appreciative of them or developing them properly, or teaching them enough. So if, a young employee looks at their boss or their manager and goes, well, he or she's an idiot, then they're more likely to leave. But if they're like, wow, I'm learning so much, I feel valued, I'm gaining all this great information that's growing me and developing me, then I'm going to stay longer. So the question is, how do we retain our A players, a great trainer that's generating all this revenue, that's great with our clients? And the answer is, you better be providing them with so much value that they're learning and they're developing. And so what I always stress is, you got to have both a personal and a professional development plan with your young talent. So it's funny, and people say, oh well, the personal stuff, let's leave that out of work or whatever. They're here to work, they're here to earn a paycheck, that's not my responsibility to be their buddy. Well, what you need to do is, you need to sit down with all your young talent. You need to say, what do you want to accomplish personally? What do you want to accomplish professionally? And how can I help you get there? And that may not be that they're going to be with you for 20 years, but it's like, hey, find out what they want to learn. Find out what they want to get better at. Find out what they want to be doing on a daily basis. And also incorporate the personal stuff in there. Because you say, okay, well, if young employees don't care so much about the exact dollar amount they're making, then what do they want? Well, they want the career to fit their lifestyle. So it used to be in the olden days, right? Like our parents and grandparents, it was, you got a job, and then that personal stuff just kind of occurred around that. Now it's, well, this is my life, this is where I want to live, these are my hobbies, this is, what I love to do. I want to find a career that fits that. It's radically different. So if I'm trying to, manage, develop, retain my top young talent, I'm sitting there saying, what do you want to accomplish? Well, if you want to run a marathon, then how can we build your schedule around you being able to train for that? If you want to learn how to not just, train clients, but you also want to learn the financial aspects of this business, then when can I have you stick around after your work hours and learn that stuff?
So it's creating a business where not only does that person serve the business, but the business serves the person.
Exactly, and it's got to be that fit. It's got to be there. So, it's easy to just say, well, this is your job, show up and do it, okay? That's easy to do. The harder part is to say, what do you want to learn? What do you want to be better at? How can I help you grow as an employee? How can we increase your responsibilities? And let's put together a plan professionally to develop you over a 6-month, 12-month, multi-year process. Well, if I'm in the midst of doing that, do you think I'm going to just leave in the middle of that? I'm far less likely to. It's not that it couldn't happen, but I'm far less likely to. Then, to add on to that, if you say, well, Tom, I know that, your family's all back east and the holidays are really important to you. So what can we do to maybe give you a little extra time off around the holidays, without saying, hey, go home for November and December and we'll see you in January.
Right.
But what can we do to maybe give you a couple extra days off to where it may make a tremendous difference for me and make me far less likely to leave. And the analogy that I've always used is, you know what golden handcuffs are, right?
Yeah.
It's where you have like a key employee and you know, a senior level executive, and you create this situation where it's really difficult for him or her to leave. Okay, and they're called golden handcuffs. Well, why can't you do that for your young talent? Why can't you give them so much training, so much job flexibility, such a great environment, care about their personal development, care about their professional development, do all those things so that you've essentially put golden handcuffs on them? Because what they can't do is they can't say, wow, Mike has done all this stuff for me. He's allowed me to learn the financial aspects of the business. He's allowed me to see some of the marketing. He's made me a better trainer. He's given me flexibility around the holidays. He's helped me train for that marathon. He sits with me every single week and reviews my personal and my professional development plan. Even though I have all that, I'm just going to go to the gym next door and I'm going to tell them that I need all of those things from them. How do you think that's going to go over? So you've created golden handcuffs on your young talent. You're not paying them a fortune. You're not doing anything that's that difficult. You're just sitting there and saying, what do you want to accomplish personally and professionally, and how can I help you do that? And by providing that much value for them, I won't say they can't leave, but it's a heck of a lot harder to do that.
Well, it's the same thing for us. I mean, if as entrepreneurs, if we love our gym, if we love our work, we love our staff, it's hard for us to throw in the towel too. It makes it easy to go through the tough times when you got all those good things going on. And I think the same thing happens with everybody as, you know, on part of the team.
Well, and look, and I mean, most of the people probably listening to this and watching this, they're small business owners, like you and I. You know, there's only so much money we can pay people. So we have to create value outside of just a paycheck. And we do that by, you know, getting to know them better, helping them accomplish things, developing them, teaching them things, genuinely caring both personally and professionally about their development. If we can do those things, we're more than just a paycheck, and we're a lot harder to leave.
Right. Cool. All right. I'm gonna let you hit the ball again.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'm gonna run with what's working.
All right.
You're possibly good luck.
Well, we'll see.
I think I just watch you and I perfectly mimic you.
Okay. Well, we're doing so much talking that you know, my joints are tight. We'll see what we can do though.
I feel like this is the one for me, where it's not going to go as smooth as I expect. Oh.
That should be good.
We're really close to houses.
Teetering on the edge, my friend. I'm right where I want to be.
In the editing, if I hit a house, just make the window sound, the window breaking sound. I gotta aim more to this way. Alright. And if I miss the ball entirely, do the boing sound. Oh. It's a ground ball. That's what we call a ground ball in baseball. That should have gone up, huh?
That should be a little higher.
Hey, Sam. What? Keep your camera rolling on this turn here. I'm going to drift. So one of the things that a lot of fitness studio owners are afraid of too, because they work with coaches or instructors that are contractors.
Okay.
Meaning they're not employees. They're working at other gyms or other studios, or even just independently on their own already. And they're afraid that, you know, these are the guys that are building all the relationships. And how do you keep the culture the way you need it to be when they're working with so many other cultures possibly? And same thing, how do you get them to want to be more part of your team?
Sure. I mean, what I'd say is be simple and be direct. So in other words, what are the expectations that you have of them when they step foot in your facility? You know, and I kind of, in my mind, I see like a one-sheeter, okay, with like bullet points and key things that you're looking for. Or, I mean, heck, it could be on a quarter sheet, right? But just like this is our expectations. When you put our shirt on or our tank top on and you step foot into our facility, this is what you do. And I understand that maybe in a different setting or a different studio or in your personal life or wherever else, there may be different things that you do or different ways that you act. But if you want to be on our team and you want to represent us and you want to work with our clients, then this is the expectation. And the thing is, though, this is something that needs to be put in front of them prior to anything being agreed upon. So, hey, you know what? We really need another instructor. This is what we're looking for. But, you know, we've heard great stuff about you. We've checked up on you. You know, we've heard fantastic things. But what we need you to do is we need you to agree upon this. And you could even create it where there's standards that you expect and they sign it. I mean, does it really make a big difference? But I think it's just the representation of them buying in. Exactly.
Yeah, because I think what a lot of people do is they'll tell them verbally, but I mean, they're hearing so many things at other gyms, it kind of gets a little bit confusing over time as to which one says I should do this, which one says I should do that. But then you could always bring it back to that paper. Do you still do your reviews with your contractors as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, look, I think that why wouldn't you treat them like they're members of your team? And regular reviews, constant validation that they're doing a great job, key performance metrics. I mean, it's all the same stuff. Just because they're a contractor doesn't mean that we should have a different set of expectations or treat them differently or evaluate them differently or view their performance differently. It's the same thing. So I would just absolutely, I'd say here are the expectations. I'd have them sign something. I won't say I can guarantee, but I'd find it hard to believe that the other places, I mean, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb if you're doing that.
Right.
Like, hey, you know what? Other places may just be happy to have someone that's got experience doing this to come in and just deliver a class and, you know, whatever. It's just something that we do. But I think if you said, look, you know what? We have a little bit different of a way of doing things around here. Here's our expectations. Here's, you know, what we expect from you and want you to do. And we need you to sign this and agree upon this and buy into it. It doesn't need to be, and I said, you know, quarter sheet, 1 page. I mean, it needs to be very clear and very simple, but it doesn't need to be an employment contract or anything
And you
crazy.
learn as you go. I mean, the one pager may include the best you can think of, but as you go and you're like, man, I really need them to start doing this, you can just add that to the one sheeter for future contractors and just renegotiate the contract with these contractors as you go.
Sure, and another thing that's interesting is a lot of times, and this goes back to organizations I work with in their job descriptions, a lot of times they're so anxious to have resumes and they want to appeal to everyone and make it sound like it's the most enjoyable thing in the world to do, and so that they're so conscientious as to what they say. Well, the best job description to me, and again, whether you're looking for an independent contractor or you're looking for an employee, whoever it may be extremely clear. Like, right, let's disqualify candidates. Let's say, hey, if this is your personality, go apply somewhere else. You're probably not a good fit. This is our culture. These are our expectations. This is what we're going to have you sign. I'd rather have 20 people that have read that and already kind of like pre-qualified themselves and are more likely to actually buy into how you do business and what your expectations are than sit there and say, hey, if you're looking for a really neat, fun atmosphere where we love our clients and we have the greatest time in the world, well, everyone's going to apply to that. But if you say, look, we expect people to work extremely hard, have a great attitude, have a great sense of humor, you know, put the client, the customer above everything else, always show up on time, always deliver 100% A+ performance, well, some people are going to be discouraged by that. Would you want to hire them or bring them on?
Not the ones that are discouraged.
So yeah, we got to have very clear expectations, but you know, it's funny, it doesn't start like on the onboarding process. It starts before they even apply. And that should be something that's permeated through every step. And that's something that you should use to evaluate their performance. You know, so it's everything from the job description or the posting or whatever you're looking for, all the way through the performance review.
Right.
And that should be something that's consistent and embedded into everything you do throughout the entire life cycle of an employee or an independent contractor.
Cool. Awesome. Can you, really quick, can you film this? Look at Sam. Just so you know how much we care about you guys, we're shooting, it's so hot out here in Arizona. He's got ice on his camera to keep the camera from overheating. We're out here. All right, let's go putt.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Oh. All right, for par.
Let me show you how to really do it. Oh, that is a curve. All right, we're gonna shoot one more. Shoot.
Let's go.
One more. Hit one more.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go the other way though.
So right now, Tom is significantly beating me. What's the score? It's bad. He smiled. Here's what we're gonna do. Tom, what's this, a par?
It's a par 4.
Par 4?
Yeah.
How many guys do you know have hit a hole-in-one on this one?
I've never seen a hole in one, And I've never, yeah, no, correct.
We've never golfed before.
And never in the history of this golf course has anyone ever gotten a hole-in-one on a par 4.
That makes it even more interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what we're gonna do. If I make a hole-in-one on this hole, our final hole here,
Yeah.
I automatically win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Oh, you gotta, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
Express yourself.
One. So we decided Tom wanted to do a bonus shot. He just couldn't go home the way we just finished.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because we needed some time to give a little plug for you, because you actually, listen, the book's great. So you wrote a book called Limitless Leadership. It's amazing. So tell us a little bit about the book while I hit this ball again right into that hole.
Well, it's gonna be tough because people are gonna think I'm laughing about my book, but it's actually your shot I'm laughing about.
There you go. Okay. That's the boing sound I was talking about. I'll creep up to it. All right. So your book.
Okay.
So tell me about the book Limitless Leadership, because it's an awesome book.
All right, so basically I've been working with college students, young professionals for 7 years now, okay? And you know, my theory is pretty simple on this, which is I believe that every one of them I've ever interacted with has an unbelievable amount of potential inside of them, okay? I mean, I believe we all do. And you and I had this conversation recently where I was like, well, you know, you and I, we're fortunate enough that we, you know, own businesses and we're doing some pretty cool stuff, but it didn't always have to work out that way. Mm-hmm. And it did, because of people we met and some decisions that we made and some good things and hard work and perseverance. And the book is basically the premise of every young professional, every young leader has this unbelievable potential inside of them. And so what I want to do is I just want to help them unlock it. And I want them to understand, you know, the value of hard work, the value of perseverance, you know, having a vision for what you want to accomplish, surrounding yourself with great people, all these things that you and I kind of learned along the way. I'm just trying to give it to young people quickly, easily, share some of my personal stories, share some things that some successful people have done along the way that align with those traits and characteristics. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just, I have not come across a young person that didn't have strengths, that didn't have potential, that couldn't go off and do amazing things. But unfortunately, not all of them meet the right people, get the right information, have the ball bounce their way. And so my hope is that this book helps more people do that. Okay. And you know, at the end of the day, I just think that we all do have this ridiculous potential inside of us. And I want more people to accomplish that and reach that and do those things that you and I have, you know, been fortunate enough to do.
Your book, can I buy it from your site?
Yeah, you can buy it on my site, tom-healy.com, or it's on Amazon. It's called Limitless Leadership.
Sam, can you put that on the video here? tom-healy.com, and get the book Limitless Leadership. So let's go.
Thanks, man.
Hit your ball.
All right.
And then we're going to go get mine. Mine should be at the bottom of the cup. Is that what you call it?
It's about 15 feet straight ahead. So yeah, I think we'll find it. And let's see what I can do here.
It's called strategy, Tom. You feel comfortable now, don't you?
I feel comfortable and loose.
Wow. That was actually a really good shot.
I'm on the green, I'm putting. I mean, actually a really good shot. You seem surprised.
So, thanks so much for taking me to your course here. This place is awesome.
My pleasure.
Now, I know that you've mentioned to me that you find a lot of parallels with what you do in golf, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think golf, you know, look, I love playing the game of golf. Okay, it's fun. It's great being outdoors. It's great being around people for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time and just spending quality time with them. Usually without technology, but you and that phone's another story.
I'm Facebook
just
Living
kidding.
right now.
I'm just kidding. No, but in all seriousness, if you can't keep your cool day in and day out, it's tough to be successful in business. It's the same thing in golf.
I'm glad I'm a little better at business than golf.
You're far better at business than golf.
Is that a compliment to my business game or a massive insult to my golf game?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. You're a great business owner. You're great with your employees. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about today, you do, and you do at a very high level. And I have a lot of respect for you for doing that. So, but yeah, your business game's far better than your golf game.
Good, because I suck today.
All right, we got to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop
here, guys. This hole-in-one was unexpected. I was really just going for, going a little further than you.
Well, you were out here for business. You were barely paying attention to your golf game. You didn't warm up. You didn't tuck your shirt in.
It was easier than I expected.
I'm going to write about it in my next book.
I was honestly, because hole-in-ones I've never heard, like that's normal, like it's a movie thing. I just hit the ball. It felt really good. I connected from the beginning. I felt it in my core.
Look at that view.
Let's see the view.
I've lived in Arizona for 10 years now, right? Over 10 years. I never get sick of this.
That's because you're from Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Pittsburgh sucks.
Yeah. When you're from Pittsburgh, you just still, and 10 years later, I just look around at how nice this is.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. It always will look nice here.
It smells a little nicer too, right?
I smell things I never smelled before. New Jersey, I was like in captivity with my smell.
Well, as we wrap things up, I just want to say thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it. I've listened to or watched every episode. A lot of good stuff. I mean, I've taken ideas from it and put it in my own business.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so I appreciate it. I hope if nothing else, we made people laugh a little bit and entertain them and maybe gave them an idea or two that's going to help them out with their young talent.
I know for sure we did. The content of the episode was great. I think people that need to be better business owners, especially in the recruiting and the hiring, are going to get a lot out of this episode. People that want to learn more about their golf swing are going to learn a lot.
Yeah. Are
going to get a lot out of this.
Look, at the end of the day, young talent, it's more work, but there's more potential there, and that's the thing. And if you're willing to put in the work to find, develop, and keep them, they're going to grow your business and they're going to do great things for you. And if you treat them the right way, they may even stick around for a while. So it's not easy work. It takes more time. It takes more effort. But like anything else in life, you got to put in the effort. You got to put in the time. You got to have the patience, and good things happen. Nothing happens overnight.
Healy.com. Tom-Healy.com. That's where you go and buy his book. His book is amazing. Limitless Leadership. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.